Hey guys, Dempsey McKean, the Terra here. Just regarding a possible fight with Joseph Parker and why I think it would be a better matchup, as well as for the fans. You know, I'm the only world-rated fighter coming out of Australia. I'm #1 rated heavyweight in Australia at the moment, ahead of Lucas Browne. Yes, he's the #1 pick for Joseph Parker at the moment. He's a former world champion, but I'm the one with the world ratings at the moment. I'm rated number 13 with the IBF and the WBO. Intercontinental champ, the IBF and WBO Asia Pacific champ as well. I'm a younger fighter. I'm fresher. I'm more active. I'm going to give more of a fight. I think stylistically, it's a good fight for me as well against Joseph Parker. He's a bit of a boxer as well. He's quite clean and crisp, and that's where I perform my best as well. You know, the better the boxer, the better I perform. So I do see it definitely a hard fight. You know, Joseph Parker is a hell of a competitor, former world champ as well. Only 2 losses to Dillian White and AJ as well. You know, that's massive. But you know, I think his last few performances haven't been the best either, and against average competition. So I think I will give Joseph Parker a hell of a fight, and you know, by all means, I'm definitely in a winning chance there as well. I'm confident in my skills. You know, so I'm hoping it falls through with Lucas Browne and I get that call up as well. You know, I'm ready for that world stage shot. I'm keen, you know, and like I said, it's going to be a better fight for the fans. You know, I'm more liked in Australia than Lucas Browne, and like I said, I'm more of a competitor. You know, I'm 29 years old. I'm coming into the peak of my career, 18-0, 12 knockouts, ready to step it up, and I'm ready to take on Joseph Parker if the call is made. So that's my take on it anyway, guys. Cheers.
There you have it. Australian heavyweight Dempsey McKean calling out Joseph Parker. He wants to take him on next and explaining why he's a much better option than Lucas Browne. And there has been a well-signalled intent from the Parker camp that they're looking to have a fight in August, potentially in New Zealand. And effectively, they're looking at 3 names: Lucas Browne, Dempsey McKean, and Junior Fa. Junior Fa has some history with Parker, but seemingly, for the moment at least, has fallen out of the running. Things have gone quiet on that front. There was financial demands that seems to have put them out of the running for now, but you never know in boxing, because often when it goes quiet, that's when the real negotiating is actually happening. But in terms of McKean and Browne, they're the other 2 options. You heard McKean there basically saying he's a much better option than Lucas Browne because he's fresher, he's got world ratings, he's ranked in the WBO and also the IBF, and that he is a guy that's going to give Joseph Parker a much better fight than Lucas Browne. And Lucas Browne himself is over 40 now. He's looked pretty dreadful in recent fights. On the reverse side of the coin, Lucas Browne is a bit of a name. He's more well known than Dempsey McKean. McKean is still on the way up, so he's got talent and ambition, but it could end up being a case that it goes to Lucas Browne because he is the guy that is more well known, and potentially that could, you know, get people subscribing to DAZN or buying pay-per-views or whatever ends up happening with this fight, because it's still unclear. Is it going to be for the launch of DAZN down in New Zealand, or is it just going to be a fight on pay-per-view? Those details still to be worked through, confirmed, and if they do have the fight, they're looking at August at this point, potentially a limited crowd of under 100 people. And David Higgins, Joseph Parker's advisor, former promoter, has stated that they're looking to maybe hold it at some sort of ornate building, something with a bit of gravitas behind it, to make it a bit of a spectacle. It's going to be an event that would have a smaller crowd. It has been speculated that with the broadcast team, the teams involved, and other bits and pieces, caterers, that maybe you would only have a crowd of 50 or 60. So it'll be quite an intimate event. But the question now is, if they are to proceed with this, it's going to come down to the negotiations. And Dempsey McKean laying out the case earlier, as you heard. And Lucas Browne now will go to him because he's updated his followers on social media. So he's talking about the Parker fight, but also some other options that may be in play. Because remember, he was contracted to have a fight with Abdi Davtayev before the pandemic hit. But here he is, and we'll pick up after that.
Before this pandemic, I was scheduled to fight in Vegas on the 28th of March against Davtayev, a Russian fighter whose record was 19-0 with 18 knockouts. So for me, that was absolutely sensational. I wanted to fight in Vegas. It's tick off the bucket list for me and was ready to go. Unfortunately, unforeseen circumstances across the world, the fights didn't happen. So I was left in limbo for quite a long time. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to it, I don't know when I'll be allowed back into the US and or UK, travel restrictions, etc. So I don't know when I can fight in Vegas. I'm still contracted. I still want to, 100% I'm ready to do it and want to do it, but I have no idea when it can happen. It could be December, it could be next year, you know what I mean? So talks have begun between myself and Parker. I want to fight Parker, 100%, always have wanted to, and vice versa. We've both wanted to fight each other. It's a great Tasman fight. Everyone wants to see it, especially over this way of the world, of course. Two former world champions punching on, why not? Now, the travel restrictions are much lighter over this way, and I will be able to go to New Zealand in August. So that is basically where my head's at the moment. Lawyers, etc., are in it at the moment because, as I said, I am contracted for Vegas, but if no one can give me a date as to when, why not fight Parker first and then fight Vegas afterwards? That's basically where my head's at. Now, in regards to Gallen and all the footballers, I'm just sick of all the bull. I just want to punch every single one of them in the face and show them what an actual boxer looks like. Starting with Gallen. Gallen's got the biggest mouth, thinks he's the man, all the rest of it. Well, let's get in the ring and punch on. That's all that matters. So the three fights that I'm chasing, obviously Parker, 100%, two former world champions. Vegas for being Vegas and ticking off my bucket list against a very, very hard, great knockout puncher in Davtaev from Russia. And any footballer that wants to jump in just for the Gallen, starting with Gallen for me anyway. So that's basically where it's at. So I hope that clears up something for all the people just shooting and thinking they know what's going on. That's what's going on. That's where I'm living at the moment. I'm training and waiting for some sort of clarification as to what's going on. Hope everyone's having a good time. Staying safe. Be good. Thank you.
So Lucas Browne, you can clearly tell that he's preferring a Parker fight because of the uncertainty over the contracted Davtaev fight in Las Vegas, which who knows when it could happen. Perhaps he could end up fighting a Joseph Parker and then fighting up the Davtaev in 2021. Who knows? I mean, at the moment, there's a lot of uncertainty in boxing, when things are going to resume, when travel restrictions, etc., because of the pandemic will be relaxed. Different countries doing things a lot differently. But there is a clear vein of thinking from Browne that he would like to fight Joseph Parker, and it's not the first time that these two have almost fought. Back in 2017, when there was talk about a potential unification between Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua, and also Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, Lucas Browne was actually signed to fight Joseph Parker. His end of the deal was done, but Joseph Parker held off on signing his side, so then he could pursue a potential unification with Joshua. So it's one of these things that had almost happened back in 2017, 3 years ago, and perhaps it would have been better if it did happen then, because this current version of Lucas Browne is not nearly as good as he used to be. So Lucas Browne has certainly been on the decline. Over 40, as I mentioned, he's looked dreadful in recent fights, and this could be a case where he gets brutally knocked out. And there's certainly diminishing returns with fighting a Lucas Browne at this stage of his career. So they have to weigh up the pros and cons of these things. But I guess one of the things that it's going to come down to is money. And Browne has been quite open in the past year or so that he's looking to maximize his time in the sport. Basically said he's got 2 years left and he's already about 1 year into that, and he's trying to make as much money as possible. So if his demands are too much, maybe they will end up skipping over him and going for someone like a Dempsey McKean, which I mentioned with McKean, up-and-comer, unbeaten, a couple of world ratings. So there's a few things going for the Dempsey McKean fight. But on the other side, because he's relatively unproven at the top level, then obviously Parker couldn't get massive credit for a win over him either. But it's the same with Browne and also Junior Farr. Junior Farr unbeaten, similar sort of stage in his career as Dempsey McKean. So there's pros and cons whichever way you cut this for Joseph Parker. But obviously they're talking about a fight in New Zealand in August because they want him to stay active, get a fight under his belt, and be ready for a bigger fight when they come out the other side of the pandemic, potentially a big fight in 2021 or at the end of this year. I mean, I guess it depends on all sorts of factors. But yeah, Dempsey McKean wants the fight, saying Lucas Browne is not really up to it anymore. He's the fresher guy. Browne clearly wants it. And from what McKean is sort of saying, it seems like Browne is in the driver's seat. And that is the sort of indication that's been through the media. But that's not to say things won't change and can't change in a heartbeat. It's boxing after all. But what do you make of a potential fight between Joseph Parker and Lucas Browne, or Joseph Parker, Dempsey McKean, or Joseph Parker, Junior Farr? The Farr option's gone a bit quiet more recently, but obviously potentially still in play. We'll have to see what happens. But drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.